Do you ever sit down to paint or draw something and you think to yourself, if I was really meant to be an artist, wouldn't I be further along? Wouldn't this feel easier at this point? And I want to tell you that there's actually good news. If you're feeling frustration like that, I want to tell you that that's not an indication to stop. That's actually an indication that you're actually trying to create work that's different from anything that you've ever made before. You're trying to create work that's beyond your current capability, but your current capability is not a dead end. It's not the end of it. It's just an indication that, you know what, it's time to grow past this current space that I'm at onto another level. And you might be thinking, okay, well, then how do I do that? Sometimes I just feel stuck. I feel like I'm making the same mistakes. I'm doing the same things and I can't move past that. And that's what I want to answer for you in this video. I'm going to share 3 points, 3 things for you to think about that will help you get to that next level. And so point number 1 is breaking through limitations. Chances are that there's probably a drawing or a painting or something, a project that you're working on right now, and you're frustrated and you're feeling stuck with it, and you don't know how to move forward. I want you to do something. I want you to sit down and I want you to take a look at this painting, at this drawing, at this project, whatever it is that you're making. I want you to take a look at it, and I want you to ask yourself, what is it that I hate about it? The one thing that you're not allowed to do is you're not allowed to say, oh, I hate everything about it. I want you to really think about what's the one thing that's really bothering you about it. Is it something having to do with the drawing? Is it something having to do with color? Maybe you don't like the color choices that you've made. Maybe it's a compositional thing. And what I mean by composition is the arrangement of the objects on the page. Maybe you don't like the way things are cropped off. Ask yourself, what is it that I really don't like about it? And there might be a couple things, but what's the main thing that you're like, I just really don't like where this is going? So let's just say that maybe it is color. Maybe it's the color that you're unhappy with. I want to encourage you to try something. Many times what artists do when they feel, let's say for example, let's say on the topic of color, they'll say, well, I just need to find like a cool color palette to use. And we'll go on Pinterest or we'll go on Google and we'll start to look for like some interesting colors that we could use maybe for this art that we're creating. I want to encourage you to try something a little bit different. Rather than going and looking for interesting color palettes, thinking like, if I just find the right mix of colors to work with this, it'll answer my problem. That'll be the solution. Instead of doing that, I want you to research something a little bit different. I want you to look up videos on color theory. I want you to look up videos on complementary colors and why do these 2 colors work well when you introduce this 3rd color? What is it that makes certain colors work well together? I want you to maybe try searching something like how to tell story through color. What you're going to find, and I want you to search this on YouTube, what you're going to find is you're going to find why certain colors communicate certain things. You're going to find why is it that when you use certain color combinations, why it communicates one thing, or why they look appealing, and why when you use other color combinations, why it just falls a little bit flat. This is going to help you shift your mindset away from the problem. What I'm encouraging you to do is you're trying to find another level of understanding. You're trying to find what is it that makes certain colors work? What is it that makes certain colors fall flat? And so now, with each level of understanding, you're going to get another level of creativity, another level of ideas, another level of inspiration that's going to go beyond the current drawing that you're working on. The cool thing about doing this is that you're going to find a solution, but it's also going to help you kind of think about the next painting and the painting after that. And you're going to start to approach your work in a different way. This simple shift in your mindset is going to take you from frustration to curiosity. And what I mean by that is that now you're going to be curious about like all these different things. What if I try this? What if I try that? You're going to have a bunch of ideas. You're going to have a bunch of different combinations and ways to approach color in your work, rather than being frustrated and just haphazardly picking colors to see which one's going to work, trying to put a crazy puzzle together. Before I move on to the next point, I wanted to quickly address that you might be thinking, all right, well, what if my issue is not color? What if it's drawing? What if it's perspective? Rather than trying to fix the immediate problem, so for example, if you are struggling with color in this painting, chances are you're going to struggle with color in the next one. Say if it's drawing, say if it's anatomy, then if you're struggling with drawing a hand, rather than finding a perfect reference so you can get the hand just right, then you have to think about it as maybe the deeper issue is not that you don't know how to draw this hand, but you're probably going to struggle with hands in your next drawing and the drawing after that. If your issue is with color, then you're probably going to struggle with color in the next painting and the painting after that. So what I'm trying to teach you is, rather than solving that immediate, band-aid fix, I'm trying to teach you how to get greater understanding. I often share, and I'll share actually in the notes below, I have some anatomy, great resources like books that I use. If it's painting and color, I have other books also that I recommend. So I'm going to put them in the description below. And what that's going to do is that rather than fixing and making that one painting better, it's going to make all the paintings, all the drawings that much better. Okay, so point number 2 is trusting the slow process. Again, as I mentioned before, we often think of creativity as something that's supposed to feel like you're always in the zone. It's always easy. And that's just not the case, especially when you're trying to grow. Because if you think about it, a lot of times we're looking at our art and we see it, and even if we're happy with it, we're constantly thinking, man, I want to improve in this area. I want to improve in that. And growth just doesn't happen overnight. It's not something that happens so quickly like that. And many times when you're going through a moment of growth, it just doesn't feel very comfortable. And so naturally, some of that frustration is going to happen. I would say that creative growth is like a tree. And I know that sounds like a little bit cheesy, but hang on. A tree is not something that you build. You don't build a tree. You don't say like, okay, I'm going to put this branch over here. I'm going to do this. I'm going to put these leaves over there. You don't build it. You grow a tree, which means that you plant a seed, you water it, you cultivate it, and over time, that seed grows into something beautiful. It grows into something awesome. And that's because things that are worthwhile are not rushed. Things that are worthwhile take time. Relationships take time. You have to kind of invest and build that trust. A lasagna is not made in 3 minutes. And if somebody makes a lasagna in 3 minutes, I highly encourage you not to eat it because it's probably going to taste disgusting. Microwavable instant coffee, you could probably do that, but that's also, in my opinion, going to be gross versus like an espresso drink, like a cappuccino or something like that. Things that are of value, things that are worthwhile, they take time. It doesn't just happen overnight. And a lot of times you end up having a lot more appreciation and respect for that thing. So in the same way, this is the same kind of thing with your craft. Even the Beatles, who were the most iconic band in the world, they performed something like 1,200, 1,000, over 1,000 gigs before anybody even knew who they were. Michael Jordan, who is the greatest player of all time. I mean, leaps and bounds beyond LeBron James. You could debate me in the comments below if you want to. After he finally made it into the NBA, it still took him 7 years to win his first championship. It's an ongoing process. I'm telling you, it's in those small moments that you'll start to really appreciate your craft. And it's going to require you having to not allow the social media pressures to get in the way of that. And point number 3 is redefining your value. And what does that mean for you? What does that mean for me? That means that some days are just going to feel clunky. Some days are going to feel messy and they're going to feel discouraging, but that's not frustration. That is training, or at least you need to look at it. You need to look at it like training, because your value as an artist isn't tied to praise. It's not tied to how many likes you get or how many comments you get or some imaginary milestone that we create for ourselves. We in fact create so much pressure. We put so much pressure on ourselves, and that in itself is what keeps your creativity. It might not even be that you're struggling with your color or with your line work or composition. It might just be these pressures that you put on yourself that says you have to post every day, or that you haven't posted in 3 days, and so the algorithm this or the algorithm that. I think it's those pressures many times that hinders a lot of the work that we're trying to make. And in other cases, maybe sometimes it's just that we're worried about what other people will think about the work that we're trying to make. So we make work even without realizing it. We'll make things because we think that other people will like it. And we don't say it to ourselves, we don't admit it. I really do think that sometimes without realizing it, we're creating from that place, which is not good because it's not authentic. It's not flowing out of you naturally. So as I wrap this up, I want to encourage you to keep showing up and keep letting your work be honest. I really like this Bible scripture. It says in Galatians, it says in Galatians 6:9, let us not grow weary in doing good, for the proper time For at the proper time, we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Too many times we just give up too soon. And I know that's cliche. I know we've heard that a million times, but I like to picture it as this. If God puts something inside of you that only you can put out into the world, that could really impact lives, that could really change somebody's perspective, that could introduce somebody to Jesus, introduce somebody to what true love is, what forgiveness is. If you could actually create something that brings hope into somebody's life, then you have to understand that Satan, that the enemy is going to want to try to take you from, try to keep you from doing that. So whenever you think of this discouragement, whenever you think of the frustration, whenever you feel like, man, this is just not turning out the way I wanted it, whenever you feel like just taking that painting and throwing it through the window, I want to encourage you, all of that, ask yourself, is this coming from God? Is God making me feel this way? Or is this something else? Before you think about giving up, before you decide to throw in the towel, I want to remind you that frustration is often not proof that you're failing. Frustration is often indication, in my opinion, that, you know what, it's time. It's time. Like, the stuff that I've been making is cool, but it's time to move to a new level. So tell me in the comments below, what is there an area, is there a painting, is there something that you're working on now that you're feeling frustrated about? Are you having a difficult time figuring out what is it about the artwork that you don't like? Listen, I do respond to all the comments that I get on my YouTube channel, and in some cases, if I have the time in my schedule, I'll even connect with you through email and help you find a solution to your creative problems. Don't lose hope. Keep making art. Keep putting it out there for people to see, and keep the fire alive, my friends. I'll see you on the next video.